Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into our return edition of the G-1 Champions League. This time we're moving from east to west. The West Qualifier about to get underway. I've had a few days away from the G1. Really happy to be back and certainly happy to have all of it, at least if you're American, all of my early morning viewers. It's about 4 a.m. my time. You're on the East Coast. I guess technically for you West Coast folks, it's still like late. You're just staying up late, whereas I got up about, I don't know, 1 a.m., midnight, something like that, to get ready for this. Either way, though, got some fun action ahead of us. Absolute Legends taking on Evil Geniuses in our very first Western Qualifier match here on the G1 Champions League. Now, Evil Geniuses is a team in flux, both literally and figuratively. Questions have been swirling around the DreamHack runner-up squad for months now, and that was before they seemed to all but disappear from competitive play earlier this year. Now, on the heels of a recently announced shift in personnel assignments, they'll be looking to get things back on track as they start their run, not just towards a potential G1 League LAN, but a potential the International 3 invite as well. Now, the team has only played 4 times in April. They've posted 3 wins, but 1 stunning loss to the upstart Roxkus team in yesterday's Big Point battle. And Roxkus, not a bad team, but you normally wouldn't think that's a team that EG would lose to. But again, they've been having, I don't want to say issues. I mean, teams go through this from time to time. You just have some shakeups. You decide that maybe the chemistry isn't there like you thought it would. You try to shift personnel around, and we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. But, yeah, so far, I mean, they just have not been playing nearly as much as they did, say, towards the end of 2012 and certainly after the International. But Demon is now occupying the 1 position, and Fear is looking to contribute more to early and mid-game from the 4 position. So this ain't your mama's EG. This is a brand-new squad, at least in the way it looks, and depending on what players are going to be on what heroes. But it may well be a more well-rounded squad if they can adjust to this new look and this new feel. Now, Absolute Legends, like EG, hasn't seen all that much play of late. They've only posted 2 results so far in April, splitting them to the tune of 1-1. The squad is stacked with familiar names and a lot of talent, though, so they've just yet to have a real breakout moment since they all came together under the Absolute Legends name. Their most recent victory of note came against Mouse at the end of March, but for every big win that Absolute Legends seems to get under their belt against a marquee team, there seems to be an unexpected loss here and there too to just kind of negate it. So a team very much looking to try and find their own identity. Now, both the Evil Geniuses and Absolute Legends names have had their periods of dominance in Dota 2 dating back to 2012 in the International too, but this is a brand new year and the scene is stacked with new names and new faces. They, like EG, need to get things back on track in a hurry if they want to have a shot at land competition, not just for the G1, but for the International 3, which again is looming right on the horizon. So, introductions out of the way. Let's take a look at what's going on with the bans and the picks. Nyx Assassin and Wisp taken out by Absolute Legends. Not going to see Coddle or our Lifestealer as they're taken out by EG. EG is going to get 2 very strong picks, and this is the kind of thing that really worries me now. And I'll tell you why. Getting a Magnus early is always great, and basically, Absolute Legends, whenever, okay, let me look at it from the other point of view. Batrider is such an unbelievably high-value hero, as is a Magnus. Even if you feel confident that you're going to get a Magnus out of your ban phase, opting to ban out the Nyx Assassin and the Wisp, for example, instead of those heroes, you have to make sure, especially if you're in the 2nd draft position, that you get the absolute most value you can for giving away a Batrider. Now, Magnus, as good as he is, honestly is just not as dominant as a Bad. Magnus can be susceptible to gank pressure early on if he's up against a tough lineup that has lockdown, stun, silences, you name that. Batrider really only needs 2 core items to be effective at all. A set of tier 2 boots, no matter what they are, and a blink dagger. At that point, he can be swinging the game in his team's favorite 15 minutes. Magnus pretty much in the same boat. He does need arc boots to really feel powerful, but he also needs a lot of teamwork around him. And seeing the Rubik and the Nature's Prophet come out for Absolute Legends, very strong heroes. But when I look at what EG has, they are just so well-rounded right now, and what comes to mind immediately is the reach that they're going to have with the Batrider and the Puck. Puck's ability to initiate from arguably the longest range in the entire game, at least as of right now with the hero pool as it is. You combine that with the Batrider, his ability to Firefly, and just all that he gives you in terms of being able to take engagements. EG can now draft 2 more heroes to go with those 2 in particular that are just going to be able to free up a ton of room for the Lone Druid. And that's to say nothing about the win percentage and the innate strength of Lone Druid in competitive play. One of those heroes that I honestly, you see, like when I look at Absolute Legends, for example, the Wisp ban doesn't make all that much sense to me anymore. For a while there, Wisp was one of those heroes that no team really wanted to give away, but especially if you keep, that they can build a team that can deal with that, because Wisp as a hero has to have another hero with him, and he has to have a very big impact at a set time in the game. So whenever you ban that Wisp out, sure, you're taking away the Bursa, which I've seen, which is really fun to watch, by the way. But aside from that, what you've now done in giving away the Bat and the Druid, EG picks them both up. They're going to have team fight potential coming out of Puck. Now they can just draft 2 more heroes that are going to be able to free the map up for the Druid in the mid-game. Druid will be able to get his core items up, usually going to be something like an Armlet, into a Maelstrom. That's really the most typical build we see now. And Absolute Legends, as good as they are right now, having the Magnus even. You've got the Rubik and the Prophet. Prophet's going to be able to contribute in a global presence kind of a way. But Prophet's known as a more skirmish-oriented hero, at least for the majority of the early and on through the mid-game. He does need a lot of items to really feel as effective as he possibly can be, and have the ability to actually contribute in a major way to team fights. I mean, Sprout's an amazing ability, and it does what it does, especially works well with a Rubik if they're able to execute a good gank. But so far, I feel like what they've given away to pick up the Magnus and the Rubik, as good as those heroes are, and make no mistake, Rubik is one of the most amazing supports in the entire game, and Magnus, honestly, probably my favorite hero in the entire game, both to cast and to watch. But giving away as much as they did just to get those heroes plus the Prophet makes me worry quite a bit for them in the mid-game. Now, taking a look at the way these lanes are likely to shape up, Puck, Batrider, and Lone Druid are 3 heroes that usually all crave solo lane if they can get it. Lone Druid really likes to operate out of a solo safe situation if he can accurately anticipate a favorable matchup out of a solo long lane out of the opponent. Batrider generally considered one of the more dominant one-on-one laning heroes in the entire game because of just how strong Sticky Napalm can be, and the fact that Sticky Napalm, especially at this level, basically changes the way that you have to play your hero if you're up against it. If you get 4 or 5 stacks on you and you're up against an opponent who is at the professional level, he probably will kill you. He's going to have the ability to do it. He's going to know how to manage his creep equilibrium. He's going to know how to dive you the right way and just take advantage of the slow on the movement speed as well as the bonus damage. So it changes the way that you have to try and deal or handle your lane when you're up against that. Puck's kind of in the same boat. Puck mid has really been a lot more viable since his most recent buff. Got a little bit more base attack damage, meant he could last hit and deny. His range isn't terribly bad, and if all worse comes to worse, he can always use his orb to get out of trouble, to say nothing of phase shift, and Waning Rift a pretty good retreat ability as well, just because it does throw out some damage and a silence. And if the opponent is worrying about a TP reaction, you don't want to be silenced and damaged and moving under the tower to try and dive a hero like a Puck. So EG has a lot of options open to them. With Absolute Legends, they're in the same boat. Magnus, another hero who really does crave a solo lane. Rubik, very, very solid out of both an offensive and a defensive tri-lane. But with the look of their lane so far, this does not strike me as a lineup that wants to be ultra aggressive, ultra early. They're just going to try to hit their stride. Prophet's going to go for an early Midas, most likely. Magnus going to be looking to get up a well-timed set of arc boots. And with Magnus's ability to skewer to safety, he's not a bad matchup to be up against a Batrider early on. Just pick up a magic stick and you can deal with any harass he's going to throw at you with the Sticky Napalm and still have that one safety belt ability to get you away. So ban phase is complete. Gyrocopter, Weaver, and the Dragon Knight taken out by Absolute Legends. And we can see Evil Geniuses just says, we've got an awesome carry in Lone Druid. We just don't want you to have any chance to out-carry us. They take out the Anti-Mage, the Phantom Lancer, as well as the Luna. And yeah, that's going to be the big question now for Absolute Legends, given they banned out Weaver, Gyro, and DK. Where is their carry potential going to come from? I mean, obviously, there's still some decent heroes left in the pool, but it's not going to be any of the heroes that are usually known or really comfortable going up against someone like a Lone Druid. Now, Evil Geniuses with the Shadow Demon pickup, no surprise there. I would imagine what they're going to do is put together a defensive tri-lane here and just secure the Druid as good an early start as they possibly can. Go ahead and sit the Batrider mid or even to the off lane. And the Puck, same thing, mid or off lane. Really, either of those heroes can do well there. And Absolute Legends going to go ahead and grab themselves another support. With the Venge pickup, they actually have a chance to offensively tri-lane this if they want. The only problem with that is I don't know exactly what they would gain out of it. Usually, whenever you have a team that wants to offensively tri-lane, it isn't just to apply pressure to the opponent's tri-lane. That's always smart. It's always effective if executed correctly. But you usually want to do that because you have priority on another hero getting a solo safe lane and feeling like that hero is going to really come out ahead in doing so. And with the Magnus and the Nature's Prophet, Prophet's going to work just fine out of the jungle if they just want to sack it entirely. And we're going to see EG grab up an Alchemist here. So they're going to have... honestly, I'm curious how they're going to lane this now when I look at it. They've got their options. Could this be a return to the old-style Alchemist? I don't think it will be, but, I mean, they could offensively tri-lane this if they really wanted to. You don't really see Puck wind up in that situation all that often. They could solo safe the Druid with the Bat mid, then run the Puck, the Shadow Demon, and the Alchemist in an offensive tri-lane, which it actually has the potential to be very, very devastating if they can make it all work together. You can have Puck initiating off of a disruption from the Shadow Demon while Alchemist has his unstable concoction charging up. Then he throws it out at the last second, and all of a sudden you've got a silenced target that's been initiated on via Ethereal Jaunt. Following Shadow Demon's disruption with the Soul Catcher on. There's a lot of kill potential there, and given the way that Absolute Legends lanes look, they don't have any real carry potential. I mean, unless they want to farm the Magnus, and that, at best, is a sketchy proposition one way or the other. But still one draft left for Absolute Legends. While we have a moment, I want to remind everyone to check out G1.2p.com. Our widescreen broadcast features just went in, courtesy of Chen. A great guy, works very hard, has done a lot for the G1 so far. So our individual broadcasting channels now have widescreen formats, and they're going to go ahead and grab a Void. So picking up the Void's not problematic at all. The only thing that really kind of worries me here, I mean, he's going to benefit a lot from Venge Azara. Of course, the minus armor from Venge going to be handy-dandy, and the synergy potential between Magnus and Void going to be huge. If you can get a 3-4-man RP, follow it up with a 3-4-man Chronosphere, or even reverse it, get the Chronosphere off first, then have Magnus ready to blink in or skewer in to follow it up with an RP. That's very good. Faceless Void's lane presence, though, is really, really sketchy at best early on. He does need a decent set of items to really touch into his carry potential, and even then, I mean, unless he just gets remarkably far ahead, and I don't mean just like a little far ahead, but just miles and miles ahead, he's more of an assassin type of hero who gets in Chronospheres, likes to get on someone, and then blow them up in the mid-game. Obviously, again, he has plenty of late-game carry potential, but I just worry that they're going to have this real period of weakness starting in the early game phases. And we'll watch and see how these lanes are going to wind up looking on both sides. I'm really curious in particular how EG is going to do this. They may have Jo in the jungle with this Druid. That's actually very possible as well. Or they could just jungle Beatiz. Beatiz on the bat is really interesting to me. Beatiz is the 5-slot player for EG, and that might be what they do. Yeah, they're going to say, yeah, okay, that's what they're going to do. They're going to jungle the bat here and have Milk plus Fear running in our tri-lane. And yeah, this is just fascinating to me. It makes sense. The only problem is if AL does decide to put a lot of pressure on here, I don't know that they can. But if they do, this bottom lane is going to have its moments of susceptibility. They're going to be very, very wide open to smoke ganks early on. And AL moving as a squad, heading towards the pool camp, and we can see EG backed out and trying to keep themselves comfortable, at least for the moment. It's going to be Demon playing on our Lone Druid. But anyway, looks like we are going to have a break. And no blood on the soil quite yet, so let's run through our lineups. Fear, again, going to be farming up our Alchemist. We'll have Demon playing on our Lone Druid. Oh, excuse me, that's actually Jo. Playing under the name Angina for some reason. He'll be playing on our Lone Druid. In mid, we'll have Demon on Puck. Shadow Demon going to be handled by Melk. And our Bad Rider, once again, played by Beatiz. So, waiting to see how Beatiz is going to do this. And yeah, they haven't quite given this up. Are they actually going to offensively trialing this with a Void? This is ballsy, but again, this is what I was talking about. Having spotted this out now, they can do this and be a lot safer than they have any business being. Void, again, his lane presence is next to nothing at levels 1 through 5. At level 6, Chronosphere just in and of itself makes you a little bit more dangerous. But because the bat's in the jungle, as good as the... Oh, hang on, heard a stun. Magic Missile connects on Beatiz. He's going to be forced to Firefly, telekinesis back. And this is really good for AL. It's a little bizarre that EG would lane this the way they have and expect anything else. Long-range Magic Missile. He's still continuing to eat some damage and will be able to make it away. But yeah, this has the potential to blow up in EG's face very badly. Now, taking a look at this top lane, and I will run through AL's lineup as well. Prophet versus Druid. Druid should do 100% fine in this. Treants, as annoying as they can be, are just not going to be able to hold up to the bear, especially if he gets an Orb of Venom up on that bear very soon. This is going to be really, really annoying. And yeah, you can already see Mania being forced all the way out. The bear quite willing to take his level 1 auto attacks with that Stout Shield in his inventory. Not a problem at all. And landing back in, that's going to be B-Diz. He's still level 1, not a single point of experience. So far, I mean, just running him out and sending him this far back is a big deal. Is he actually going to play lane support? This is weird, in a word. Pure lane support Bad Rider. This makes no sense. I thought he was just hanging around the mid area. Now, yeah, he's just going to play lane support. He's going to go ahead and pull. But while I have time, I'm going to run through AL's lineup, but this makes just so little sense to me. Anyway, Prophet going to be handled by Mania on the side of Absolute Legends. We're going to have Miracle playing on our Vengeful Spirit. They're going to move over and contest this pull, so before I continue, we'll see how this pans out. Yeah, I mean, what is Bat Rider going to do at level 1 with nothing but Firefly? I mean, this just, again, is just bizarre laning to me. If you want to do this, then fine, but go ahead and stick the Bat over in the safe side of the jungle, let him get up a set of Tranquil Boots and a Blink Dagger, and then let him come in. I mean, if you're just going to sack this lane like this, but yeah, I mean, Melk so far, or Fear, excuse me, is doing okay in last hits. He's got 8, so he's not completely knocked out of this. And mostly the reason this is succeeding is just how bad Void is in an offensive tri-lane. But anyway, back to the lineups. Miggle going to be playing on our Magnus here in mid. Rubik going to be handled by Rise with Void, played by Unicorn. So, we'll wait to see how this is going to go. I would imagine this should be a fairly quiet early laning phase. Just not a lot of kill potential really on either side. Probably EG has more kill potential in this tri-lane right now, but with the Bat being as far behind as it is and contributing so little. I mean, doesn't even have any points in Sticky Napalm yet because he did opt to go Firefly. And we can already see Miggle taking a decent amount of damage. This is really good out of Demons so far. He's sitting at 14-12 ahead of the Magnus. And I mean, he should be doing fine, but he's actually getting the better of this matchup. As we can see, Miggle's already bottle crowing. And Demon, via the orb, should have no problem getting absolutely every rune that he happens to want to contest. And, yep. Boots, about to go into his inventory, is going to end up eating a shockwave there in the meantime. Talking about Mania versus the Druid. Druid sitting on top of our CS board, certainly where he wants to be if you're JO. And, yeah, Prophet is hurting a bit at just 10, so beginning to fall behind a little bit there. But so far, really, again, just not all that much to report. Beat is finally going to get a stack on this medium camp and hopefully be able to do something with it, but I don't understand what this is giving them, really. Absolute Legends is not being kept off of engaging here because B-Diz is there, I don't think. I mean, yes, the burn damage from Firefly and an AoE, which is how they would have to fight it out. They don't really have a lot of burst. They're going to have Fade Bolt damage plus Magic Missile, which does a decent amount of damage all at once on a single target. But it's not enough to just flat out blow someone up, especially when you have the counter engagement potential of Unstable Concoction, Fear already with 2 points and an Acid Spray as well. So, I mean, they have enough to keep them off of this, and this Bat is just accomplishing nothing. He's just now level 2. Finally has points in the Sticky Napalm. And to put it in perspective, we're 5 minutes into this game. If he just runs a flat-out jungle Bat, and he's even remotely proficient at it, seeing something like Tranquil Boots Blink Dagger at 10 to 12 minutes is not unusual at all. Like, it is not one little bit weird, and you can get a lot you can get faster than that if it's something you practiced. So far, though, Void sitting at 21, and our Alchemist not doing the best. Fear sitting at just 11 at this moment. Here in mid, Demon doing quite well for himself. He's at 24 last hits, 25 for Jo, who loves the name Angina for some reason. Looks like it will be a Hand of Midas build coming out of our Prophet. No real surprise there either. Other than that, at this point, I'm just curious who's going to break this laning phase down. Miggle is doing all right as well. He's at 22 last hits. Puck's hanging right there above him, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. Both are getting their experience. Both are getting plenty of gold. And both looking to get their core items up. Blink Dagger, very essential, of course, to both of these heroes. And he's going to go ahead and spin a coil and go for it. And Miggle might be in trouble here. He's going to spin the RP. And, yeah, I guess Demon forgot that RP hurts a little bit. So Demon went for it with the coil, tried to auto attack, got a little too close for comfort, and Magnus dropped the hammer. Put first blood on the board and give it to Absolute Legends. And now Absolute Legends continuing to just, I mean, I hate to keep saying it, I just don't get this tri-lane. I don't get what it's supposed to do. Beta's going to eat a magic missile and forced back, and now he's going to be time walked on. There's the Firefly telekinesis. Yeah, I mean, what's the surprise there? Mikkels there doesn't have RP, doesn't even need it. Now Demon back up and ready to fight. Mikkels going to go ahead and skewer himself to safety, but the acid spray following the unstable concoction. Not quite enough to get the kill. Now Demon's in trouble. Good phase shift. Saved him from the shockwave. The creeps might finish him off, though. He's hiding in the trees. Rise. Very low. Will be cleaned up with a waning rift, and the ethereal junk going to get him back to safety. In the meantime, Fear going blow to blow with Unicorn. They managed to turn that around. Miracle now on the run. 2 for 1 the exchange, and Demon is going to go for it. Recognizing Miracle has... Oh, good body block! Lets him catch up just enough. That should be enough to secure the kill, and it will be. So EG making up a bit of difference now. Beautiful play by Demon. Made up for feeding first blood in mid right there. It's one thing to body block and slow someone down, but he had the perfect angle so that even if he had tried to go the other direction, he would have gone so far that it would have effectively been the same as stopping. Very well played, and EG managing to make it a 3 for 1 exchange. And poor Beat this is just, yeah, this is what he should have been doing starting at minute 1. He had no business being over in that tri-lane. He contributed nothing at all. I mean, I guess holding on to make sure that you reach this stage where your mid can have a teleport scroll. I mean, right now, Demon doesn't have one. He's got 800 gold in the bank now to prevent dives like that. But he's just so far behind compared to where he could be. Not to say he's out of the game by any stretch, but there is going to be a nice amount of time for Unicorn to just farm himself up. And really, this is when you want to be taking advantage of a Void if you can. The early laning phase, the breakdown and shift between laning phase and mid-game, that's when you can really capitalize against the Void and the fact that he is such a slave to Chronosphere. Without Chronosphere, the hero is just Midland at best. And Rise now looking to hook back up, put the tri-lane back together. And Melk now is rotated to top. Mania is going to be disrupted, and here comes Jo. There's going to be a Sprout. He's going to try to get away, and will not be able to do so, actually. Now he's going to do it again. He's dead. Not sure what he did there. That was really odd. Sometimes the animations don't match the actions. And anyway, that's a free kill. Well executed there from Melk and Jo. They now are doubling Absolute Legends up 4-2. And AL seems a little lost right now. Up atop, EG looking to take their first tier 1. They either need to react or get something done elsewhere. Right now, they're just contesting. I mean, it should be fairly obvious that the Bat's been gone for a while, has not showed his face, so they just got a free tower following the rotate. That should not have been as free as it was. Melk showed his face up there quite some time ago. We've got a bunch down here from AL now. Looks like they do want to trade, but they're going to have time to react if they want to. Fear already down back in the woods. Realizes he's in very bad danger right now. AL's here in force. And now they are going to take a shot at the tower. They have a glyph if they want to spend it and defend it. They may just go mid, and that looks like the call. Fear. Yeah. They're just going to hook up and go ahead and trade tier 1 for tier 1. They haven't glyphed yet, and they won't glyph. So they're just going to hang on to that. Acid spray is down. And poor Beat is. Nah, he's almost level 6, and he's got his tranks, basically, so he is making progress. Still has the chance to get that dagger up at a decent clip if he jumps into the jungle and is left alone for a while. Taking a look at Jo. He's got the phase boots done on the bear, Orb of Venom up as well. And yeah, he's going to be getting himself a set of tranquil boots on his own. AL has completely invaded the jungle of evil geniuses. Makes a ton of sense, really. Just take that away from them if you can. Fear has not put a single point in a Goblin's Greed, so at least for now, he's not going to be able to just fall back on that to get him back into a gold-wise. We're just past 10 minutes. We'll take our first look at the gold graph. Pretty even match following the dropping of the Tier 1 bottom. Almost exactly at 0 in terms of gold. The experience slightly in the favor of EG, and that's honestly a little surprising. But again, in large part, that's due, one, to the kills. The kills certainly help. But it has just as much to do with it, the fact that an offensive tri-lane is always going to be hurting in terms of pure experience gain in comparison to a defensive tri-lane, even one that is as frankly bizarre as the Bat Rider in the non-farming pull position. But the Druid now is really going to become the worry for everyone. I want to see, yep, he has picked up 1 glove of haste, and he may just go ahead and go straight to an armlet after that. I really like picking up 2 gloves of haste just because it's very cost efficient and it gives you a lot more fighting power. We're going to see the TP in from Mania, and they're going to look to take towers. This makes a lot of sense to me from AL. With Chronosphere, with RP, don't allow EG any time to catch up. They know the Bat Rider is really behind. They know Beat is really hurting right now. And until that Bat has his Blink Dagger, he is just not that big of a concern. Once he gets the Dagger, everything changes. They can rely on him blinking in to grab the Magnus, pull him back, and just save the RP. Or save themselves from the potential of an RP. Then you have the reach and the AoE silence on the puck to go after and grab a Void. Before he can Chronosphere, he won't be able to time walk away if he's silenced out, obviously. And Beat is just, I mean, he's not far away. He's actually, I mean, 12 minutes in. Right about now is when he could have had that Dagger. If he had just flat out jungle. But he did a decent job making up some time when he did finally fall out. The kills that EG were able to notch, certainly a big help when AL committed so much to bottom. For now, they continue to rattle their saber, and we're going to have Unicorn spotted out in lasso. He's going to be drugged back. Demon's there with the silence. He is burning into fire. Oh, the root! Best root that Bear could have hoped to ask for on the best hero. Getting Void off the board takes Chronosphere away. Now, even if there is RP, and this is what I was talking about during the draft. Okay, let's say he lands an RP. Where's the damage? They're going to have Fade Bolt, sure, and now that's a dead miracle. Going to be cleaned up, and he coiled Rise. Demon playing very good Dota. Fed First Blood in a pretty ugly way, but since then has really been playing well. But yeah, and again, this was my concern coming into things. Where's the damage? They've got a decent team, a jack-of-all-trades team, really. I mean, they've got late-game potential in the Void, especially when you talk about the way he synergizes with a Magnus. You've got the mobility of a Prophet. Now he's going to come back in. Chronosphere going to catch 3, and he's actually just blowing up Milk. And there's the RP to follow it up. And see, just look at the difference it makes having Unicorn there. The fact that they actually can reliably engage. And now Fear going to be forced out. So EG overstaying their welcome here in mid. Time walked him. Oh, good bash. And down he goes. Void gets credit for the kill. They're going to be able to trade Tier 1 for Tier 1 here. 14 minutes in, 13 kills on the board. 7 belong to EG, 6 belong to Absolute Legends. If you're just tuning in, this is Game 1 of this best of 3. The very opening match of the G1 Western Qualifiers. Now, I will, at some point, and they're going to go for Roche here. Looks like they are. But I will walk through the brackets with you following the conclusion of this game so you can see the big picture of things. But this is basically your very first round. And now Miggle's up on the high ground. EG seems to have an idea what's going on. Miggle's going to spot out Milk, and that's a skewered Shadow Demon. Very dead. The mech now complete. Very important item for Absolute Legends lineup. Right now, EG is very much dependent on having the initiation advantage, and that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's what they drafted. When you draft a lineup that has a Puck and a Bat Rider, those heroes they have to give you what their skill set permits. They have to be able to fight and free the map up for, say, your Alchemist and your Lone Druid to farm. Speaking of that, Jo is, yeah, going to go straight for a Maelstrom, actually, it looks like. Yeah, he is. I haven't seen that in a while. Maelstrom on a Druid, it's very typical, but anymore, it's almost always Armlet then Maelstrom. But not going to be the case now. And Rise actually stole Acid Spray. And is doing some work on Roche. Here comes Mania. Now they're going to go for it again. Now this is really sneaky. Problem is, they all walked right across a ward to get there. So EG should know this is going on. Never mind. They should have known that. That's bizarre. They had to know. There's an RP. He's going to catch Shu, and he's going to skewer him into the pit. What a great play. Getting the RP off. More than enough. But got them both into the pit. Now here comes Milk. Milk's in trouble. Should be cleaned up and will be. Don't know what the hell he was doing after he lost 2 of his teammates. Beat is still sans his Blink Dagger. Can't do much. And yeah, this is weird. This is just an odd game of Dota. Very good play, though, out of Miggle. Excellent play out of Miggle. Landed the RP, got them both into the pit, made it a free Aegis plus 2 more kills, and now a freed up map. Speaking of Maelstrom, that was the choice for our Faceless Void as well. Really like when Voids go with this kind of an approach. Going with an attack speed-oriented approach. He may even turn that into a Mjolnir. Just because it is his first big item, he got his treads up first. But he may decide to go something, since he didn't get a Mask of Madness, he may decide to go ahead and turn that into a Mjolnir, and then build something like an MKB. Something along those lines. We'll have to wait and see, though. I mean, Mask of Madness certainly not off the menu. But for the most part, if you're going to see a Mask of Madness come out, it's going to come out as your first item following your boots. That's just the way players tend to do it. Gives you the lifesteal, lets you be a little bit more efficient in farming, like we're seeing Unicorn do now, farming up the jungle. Blink Dagger is complete on that Bad Rider. So hopefully EG's lineup will begin to feel a little bit more effective. And you, again, can't really overstate, given what they're up against, with the 2 big AoE abilities that have such synergy in Chronosphere and Reverse Polarity, it is of immense importance that they have Puck Silence and they have the ability to lasso out a prime target, bring him back, and clean him up. And again, you saw when EG was able to pick off the Void. I mean, yes, obviously 4-on-5 is not optimal to begin with. But the difference in the way that Absolute Legends could play it out when Void was back was just night and day. They actually had some physical DPS. And without him, they have none right now. Eventually, the Prophet may have... Yeah, exactly. We can see the Shadow Amulet done on Mania, so he is going to be looking to contribute in a semi-carry role, and this is what I was talking about. Eventually, he is going to be able to contribute a bit more. Shadowblade's certainly going to help a lot in that regard. But at least, I mean, Shadowblade's great. He's still going to need probably at least one more decent item, be it an Orchid, be it a Scythe of Ice, to really give them what they need. But as is, AL not content to sit back. They're smoked up and going to go hunting for a kill. They're here en masse. EG, sensing something is up, have pulled back. In the meantime, Mania up against Demon. Demon landed the coil, and Demon is in some trouble. Here comes Fear. Mech used by Mania. He's going to try to run, and the Unstable Concoction is there. He is burning in the Acid Spray. Demon going to go ahead and silence him out. And they will... Oh, Shadowblade. No, Shadow Amulet. But Beatus is there. Lays down the Firefly. Had the Flame Break as well if he wanted it. Forgot that there's a fade time on that. I was wondering why the hell he was just hanging out. That might be the first time I've ever actually seen a Shadow Amulet used like that. I've seen it used very cutely on some semi-carry and carry heroes on the way to a Shadow Blade. I've seen Alchemist some players use that before. But anyway, Milk now in trouble, going to be skewered back following the Magic Missile. Very easy kill for Absolute Legends. They're happy to add that to their tally. 8-11, AL maintains the kill lead. The gold is moving in their direction, as is the experience right now. So, looking at AL, I really like how AL's playing this. They are playing a very ultra-aggressive style. The temptation is always there when you have a hero like Void that just a Void and a Prophet who are going to be able to farm very quickly. The temptation is always there to just play back and make sure you get up, core items, then maybe you start to do something. But this is much more effective if you can do it. Void is finding his farm. He's actually going to get a BKB. I don't really mind that at all. The only problem I really have with it, though, is he's still susceptible to lasso. BKB doesn't accomplish anything with lasso. So that just basically puts EG in the position of they know what target they have to get with lasso. That just makes Beatus' life a little more specific. And here we go. They're going to go ahead and grab Miggle. The Chronosphere is going to be there. Damage being done to Miggle. He has the RP ready if and when he wants to use it. Now coming out, there's the RP dropped. Can they clean it up? Shockwave doing good damage. Beatus going to be in some trouble. They're going to skewer Fear back. The Lightning Jump doing good damage, and barely is he able to get away. There's a disruption. Swap out, gonna bring Jo back into the mix, but there's a root on Miracle. He might be in trouble. In the meantime, Unicorn laying into Jo, gonna be able to clean him up. That's almost a full wipe. Almost a full wipe, and really the only reason that Melk's not fully wiped is he was towards the back of the fight. Right now, Absolute Legends is flat out outplaying EG. And this is what I was talking about, by the way. Just in the process of that fight, I was talking about how that just basically, the BKB, which isn't even done, but it should have been a signal to EG that the target has to be Unicorn. It has to be the Void every time with that lasso, and that's why. That fight was brought to a halt. The lasso had no value. The RP still went off because everyone was frozen, and that's going to be the case no matter what. The choice to grab Magnus makes sense without a BKB because you can just tell somebody else to be on Void duty. You can have a disruption there. You can have Puck looking for a silence, what have you. But yeah, I think that illustrates the point nicely. Demon has his Blink Dagger up, so his mobility up. Fear has actually gone Vanguard. And it makes sense given, again, I've been harping on and on about the fact that the physical DPS is almost exclusively coming out of one hero, and that's Void. And, of course, he's still not hitting super hard. He's doing okay now. He's got a Mithril Hammer that'll help with that. Of course, the BKB will help out in general. But, just looking at the damage outputs, you've got Fade Bolt, you've got Magic Missile, and Shockwave, which is a fair amount of magic damage to pour out. But it's going to be the Void and the eventual right-click potential of the Prophet that's going to be the big concern. So in that regard, Vanguard is fine. It's not a bad choice at all. But he has just now gotten 1 point into Goblin's Greed, so he has yet to find any real chance to put that part of Alchemist's skill set to use. Taking a look at Mania, he's doing okay. He's had that mech up and the Midas for quite some time. The Shadow Blade is completing his inventory now. Miggle, same, has had his Blink Dagger up for quite some time. BKB basically done right now for Unicorn. And they're going to be a lot more willing to fight with that item done, no doubt about it. 23 kills on the board in a 23-minute game, 1 kill a minute, not too bad. Makes the game feel a little bit longer than it has been, and that's pretty typical. The gold very heavily in favor of Absolute Legends right now, the experience moving in their direction as well. And I can't help but contribute at least a decent amount of this to the fact that lane support Batrider just makes zero sense to me. And I'm not laying that on B-Diz's feet. I just feel like it was abused adequately by AL. AL got away with offensively tri-laning a tri-lane that should have never been able to succeed. Should have never gotten away with the things they got away with. And EG was even able to get some decent kills. Now he's going to go ahead and engage on Mania. Throws off the dust. He's got a lasso ready and help coming behind him. He's just going to pursue Mania out. And now there's the lasso. Demon's there, along with the bear, silence out, and being able to kill off Mania. That's a very high-value kill for them. Because, again, right now, Void and Mania, really the late game for Absolute Legends. And BKB now done on Void. It looks like they're going to pressure the Tier 2. This makes an immense amount of sense as well. They should be able to outpush EG very easily, given their positioning right now. They may just leave JO to farm, and they will. Trying to look at the bear. He is going to get an armlet up, so armlet Maelstrom the choice once again. I don't know that I've ever actually seen the Maelstrom come out first. I mean, just personal preference, I guess. Makes a ton of sense. And it gives you more push and anti-push. Of course, a little bit more AoE damage from the lightning jumps that come out of Maelstrom, so nothing wrong with it. You'll just usually see Lone Druid players get up the armlet first. Taking a look at Demon. Voidstone, probably on his way to a Scythe of Ice, one has to imagine. Miracle. Miracle looks like he's actually getting a BKB of his own. He's picked up an Ogre Club, nothing wrong with that. Needs to get in his inventory, could certainly use the HP. BKB's done on Miggle. And Rise going with the mobility approach to Rubik. Getting himself up a Blink Dagger. I really, really love it when Rubik players do this. I mean, it's typical. It's not anything brand new or anything really odd to see. But it just gives Rubik so much more usefulness, so much more utility as the game gets later and later. The fact that you can use him as the, especially as buybacks get more expensive, and especially as respawn timers get longer the later the game goes. The ability for him to just go for it and go for a pick-off that you can push off of really becomes a major factor in the late game. Taking a look at Mania, he is going to be getting an Orchid. Got a couple of quarterstaffs in his inventory. Not bad at all, especially if he's quick on the trigger. I mean, right now, the three main heroes that he's going to be worried about, that the entirety of AL is going to be worried about. I mean, obviously, you want to kill the Druid if you can. But it's the Batrider and the Puck that are going to win or lose this game, and to a lesser extent, the Shadow Demon. Those are the high-value heroes for EG. Everything that they want to do depends on those two because of the two heroes they have. Alchemist, 0 mobility. Lone Druid, 0 mobility. I mean, yes, he can hustle. You know, speed boost is nice, but when I say mobility, I mean just the ability to jump on someone, Druid, to get to someone, has to walk, basically, has to run. You don't have, like, a time walk, anything like that. And, wow, he's going to actually just go ahead and spin Purge and swaps Melk out. Here comes AL. And Melk, oh, the poor guy, was pinging it and everything. Druid does manage to get a tower, but it's likely to cost them a Roshan. He's got a TP if he really wants it. And Beatus is sitting on the high ground here. And Mania throwing up trees of his own. There's the flame break, and there we go. He goes for it. Did he get it? He did. Beatus managing to steal the Aegis. He's going to lose it and probably die, but at least keeping it off of Unicorn buys EG some time. Makes it a little more chancy for Absolute Legends now to push than it would have been. So good play from Beatus. Very needed for his team. He is on his way to a 4-staff. Almost has it done, actually. And that'll certainly help out a lot. 27 minutes in. The kills all in favor of AL. They're sitting at 17-9. The gold has leveled off just north of 7,500. The advantage for AL. A little bit of experience difference made up, but yeah, it updated and we can see it dipping back down. So EG still has a ways to go, but JO is getting large. Puck eventually will have his items. He's saving up for a Mystic Staff now. He's only 300 gold away and should be able to make it away quite easily. But a big problem I'm starting to worry about is Alchemist again. I mean, he looks like he's going to go and grab a Cuirass after a Vlad's. So, I mean, I just worry about the way that this team is going to match up against the potential that AL has the later we get into this game. Vengeance Aura from Vengeful Spirit is going to be a huge factor. I mean, just the damage bonus is insane, all things considered, whenever you're looking at two major hitters. And with Mania going with the Orchid build, he's going to be hitting very hard. Not just him, but anyone who attacks the target that gets Orchided. So you're talking 36% Vengeance Aura damage bonus to both Void and to him if they're both in range. And I mean, I hovered over it to show the range on it. That's pretty big. I mean, that is sizable. So AL, so long as they're fighting in a general vicinity together, they're all going to benefit from that. And when you compare that, as good as Druid and Alchemist are, they are heroes who work in one-on-one situations. What you want to do with an Alchemist is get Unstable Concoction going, pop your ult, rush someone down, stun them out, then blow them up with your attack speed and your damage. But the thing is, he's building basically pure attack speed. He has no damage to speak of. He's only hitting for 109 damage right now. To put that in perspective, I mean, Melk by himself is hitting for just 20 points less than that on a Shadow Demon that's level 8. So that's going to be a concern. The Lone Druid is in the best shape by far. JO's done about everything that could have been asked of him this game. The Bear hitting for about 150 damage, give or take. And 90 damage base on Druid right now at level 15. That's not bad. But then you look at Unicorn. He's already hitting for 240 with Empower on. And that's without the Vengeance Aura. Whenever he gets inside of that, it's going to be huge. So just the way this late game is going to play out, yeah. He's hitting for damn near 300 damage with Vengeance Aura and Empower. So I don't know where the damage is going to come from EG. I mean, when I look at the way they're building their Alchemist, I don't mind it at all. It's more of a... I mean, Alchemist is going to be survivable. He's going to contribute what he's going to contribute. Acid Spray is going to be there. And Unstable Concoction is always going to be an excellent ability in team fights. But with him being more in a utility role, basically, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. If you play strategy games, there's always some unit or some ship or something that has this role where they don't really do anything on their own worth mentioning except make every unit around them better, which is the way he's built with the Vlads, with the Assault Cuirass he's working on now, and so on. But they need damage out of that hero. Druid cannot carry the weight on his own against a Prophet who's building right-click, and especially against a Void. Because Void just is one of the few heroes in the entire game that, because of the way the Time Walk works, can actually just go toe-to-toe backtrack, not Time Walk. Who can actually just go toe-to-toe with him and not worry. And Beta is going to be swapped out. That they can't have happen. And this doesn't help either. And Mania beginning to show how hard he's hitting. I mean, Mania by himself without Empower and without Vengeance Aura is hitting for almost 200 damage. And of course, this is all a product of AL playing really well. I mean, the blunt truth is EG's been outplayed this game. But the way they've built and the way that they chose to lane this is just a little bizarre to me. And I'm not trying to harp on them or make them sound bad. It's just talking about the reasons why these situations are... The situation is what it is right now. Why has things wound up this way and what's likely to happen in the very near future? And the late game potential with an Alchemist and a Druid is there, but the way they've built these heroes just has limited that. Finally, we see the Spirit Bear with the completion of the Basher beginning to show some damage potential. But again, what are you going to do? Put him on the Void? Void's just going to backtrack it. And he's going to have an Eagle Song done real soon. In like 1,000 gold, he has an Eagle Song. So he's already going to have the dodge from backtrack and the dodge from the Talisman of Evasion and Eagle Song. Miggle, so far, has played a really good game at Dota, I feel. I mean, when I think about what he's done, I don't know that I've seen him make a mistake. He's had one really good skewer following the first Aegis they took. He got First Blood, of course. And has just been really done a great job working with it. Patience is the word I'm looking for. One of the biggest problems you'll see Magnus players face is it's so easy to get impatient, to pull the trigger and go for an RP that maybe doesn't work, or maybe it catches a hero, catches 2 out of 3 heroes, but the third's the one you had to have as opposed to just wish you had. And Miggle really hasn't been in that situation. Almost every time he's pulled the trigger, being on a skewer or on an RP, he's gotten the people he needed to get and made it a high-value play, a high-value contribution. And at this point, Void really has no reason to not just hurdle out the next Roshan. I mean, it's going to be about 4 minutes. That'll give him time to get his Eagle Song up, maybe, save for buyback. EG's the ones that are under pressure, and we can see that now. This is basically a desperation smoke. I would call this, to steal a phrase from my buddy Draskell, he used this, and I think it's so apt. This is a wishful thinking smoke right here. Because what possible reason would AL have at this stage, given the shape they're in, to not be together? And why would they be playing in such a defensive position all the way back in their other jungle? Wishful thinking really is the word. As is, we're 33 minutes in. AL more than doubling up their opposition. And EG not really showing us the new lineup that we all expected. It's been fairly well publicized that they have been looking to shake things up. Stick Demon in a 1 role while moving Fear to a 4. That has not been the case this game, though, as Fear was farming the Alchemist and Demon in a role he's more known for, running in mid on the puck. And Demon, this is what Demon's known for. Get into a bad situation, do something cute, stay out of trouble. He's got a TP. And a whole team of absolute legends between him and the rest of his teammates, so we'll see how he wants to play this out. Back to the Druid. Not the most gold in the world in his bank. The Courier being pursued out. It's got a Hyperstone on it, too. That belongs to Fear. So that would be the completion, I would imagine, of his... Yep, almost the completion. Yeah, he's got enough for the recipe now, so he's got his Assault Cuirass done. But I'll tell you what I'm worried is going to happen here. Unless there's just an immaculate engagement out of EG. Unless they're able to grab the Void or the Magnus immediately with the lasso and kill them before the lasso wears off. What's going to happen is EG's going to engage. It's going to look like it's going their way. And then you're going to have an RP and or a Chronosphere, and they're just going to melt. It's going to look like they have a chance for a minute or two. Well, not literally a minute or two. It's going to for a few seconds. Unless they just get the best engagement they possibly can out of their initiators and Puck and the Bad Rider. It's going to look like they have some damage, but then you're just going to see Faceless Void and Prophet blow people up. And there's the blink away, and yeah, here comes Rise, just going to go for it. There's a disruption as well, and he manages to get the sticky napalm. And here we go. Miggle's going to be caught out. Good swap, though. There's the Chronosphere. And Fear, and yeah, actually should be okay here. Now he's going to jump onto them. And BKB's up. He is going to be lassoed out. Very sloppy fight. There's the skewer, though, and yeah, here we go. This is kind of what I was thinking. Unicorn is taking a lot of damage. There's a good coil and the silence to follow it up, though. So the engagement going fairly well the way of EG that time. Good Yule Scepter from Demon. Got to be enough to finish off the Void. The damage just really, that was just a bizarre fight. A lot of misengagements, miscalculations. The Chrono did nothing. But, more importantly, EG was able to do what I said they needed to do. They had to get the right targets. The Magnus went down with RP still up. Chrono was completely useless out of the Void. Caught only Fear and some illusions and then basically accomplished nothing. And because of that, this game goes on. And this is, you know, obviously EG playing from behind. They want the game to go on longer. They want to have time to make these gold and experience graphs look a lot more in their favor. But more to the point, the heroes they happen to have, especially in the Alchemist and the Druid, these are heroes who benefit a lot more from a late game, from an ultra late game, I should say. Alchemist with Goblin's Greed is just going to be able to farm and farm and farm and farm and farm and farm and farm. And your Lone Druid with two heroes that can become absolutely gigantic instead of just one, in the Bear and the actual Druid himself. That's a hero who loves to have an entire game to fill two inventories. So the strengths of AL still definitely there, but now having lost that Roshan, this game might go on for quite a while longer. I suspect they're going to feel really iffy about flat out engaging into EG now with that Aegis up and it being on Fear. Fear tough to kill on the best of days. And having an Aegis is going to be tough to do twice. More importantly, though, that was the third Roshan. The first two went the way of AL. But now, with Cheese up on Jao, and that Bear beginning to get even larger, now hitting for 240 a shot, give or take, with the addition of the Demon Edge. AL now maybe beginning to feel a little bit nervous. I know I would be. Because they have the physical damage, no doubt about it. Looks like, by the way, our Venge is going to be working on, I would guess, a Halberd. She's picked up her Sange. And that makes a lot of sense, just being able to take away any attack potential from at least one of the physical carries of EG. Would be more than enough to give them the edge. Getting back to the gold, I mean, yeah, look at that. And this is just the power of Goblin's Greed, the power of a Lone Druid that can flash farm just because of how quickly the Bear can attack and just blow up a creep wave, as we're about to see here. They've already cut that deficit down 2/3. 2,500 gold, the lead for AL. The experience has actually gone down 80% from 10,000 to 2,000. So EG, not only getting a win, not only getting a Roche, but having the best follow-up they can ask for in terms of what they're able to just get out of it practically. And now, AL, who was so far ahead, running as 5 now might not benefit them quite as much. I mean, they're going to stay safe, but their experience gain is going to suffer. Their gold gain is going to suffer. And this is just going to get more and more time for these inventories of EG to fill themselves up for buyback gold to accumulate. Taking a look at our net worth, we can see the Prophet at 18,000, Void at 15,000. They're still tops on the board. But given how poor of a start Fear had, the fact that he's even in range now is pretty impressive. The Druid in great shape as well. And MKB, I would imagine, gonna be the choice, the item of choice. And yeah, he's got enough for one Javelin now if he wants to buy it. But anyway, both teams making this a farm fest, really. It's been very quiet for the last few minutes. Looks like that might change as AL has now invaded the Radiant side jungle. Bear's gonna spot out Miracle, be recalled immediately. And let's see how they want to play this. Mania's back grabbing the creep wave. Now we're going to have the Bear show up and spot out Unicorn. Unicorn gets a good bash. Here comes Fear. And let's see, do they want to fight? There we go. B-Diz went for it. Time Walk not going to be enough to get him there quick enough. The Bear, oh, he gets a Rudolph on Unicorn. And now from downtown comes the Unstable Concoction. Mech going to get him back into fighting shape. There's a skewer that misses as Puck dodges it via phase shift. And a wishful thinking waning rift there. So both teams doing the barnyard dance with their feathers up and clucking at each other. But as is, still no major engagement. 13 to 20. AL maintains the lead in kills. The gold and the experience have roughly leveled off just south of 2,500, or just north, I guess, depending on what metric I want to use. But for now, EG showing their face back in mid. Looks like they may want to go ahead and take the advantage, and here we go. Beta's looking for a target. Gonna get Sticky Napalm off, Flame Break up to the high ground, but unable to follow it up. He had a Force Staff there he could have used, but wanted to save it in case he did catch a lasso. Fear's damage output still extremely lacking. And going to be for quite some time. And again, this is really the big worry for me. If they give Fear enough time to farm himself up like an MKB, then they're in trouble. Right now, they still have the advantage, so long as they're in good position and don't just allow their heroes to be taken out. Unicorn has to be Johnny on the spot with his Chronosphere. Because what the tendency has seemed to be so far is they're focusing Miggle instead of the Void with that lasso. Which is fine. That's okay if they want to do that. So that means it's just on Unicorn to always be there to follow it up with the Chronosphere and guarantee that the RP goes off. The one time that wasn't there, when the Chronosphere was totally wasted and the RP didn't go off, it was a big, big win for EG. And now the Tier 2 bottom going to be the target. And they're just going to be zoned out of this. The bear is hitting absurdly hard right now. And AL, oh, hang on, there we go. Yep, they're going to grab Miggle. They're going to go for it again. Chronosphere is not going to, yep, there it is. Got it off just in time. What they have to do, down goes Fear. The Aegis is off, and here comes Miggle. Catching one, that's two down if you count Fear dropping. And the fight really spread out, but they do end up getting the Venge in exchange at the very least. So they get the Tier 2, cost them the Aegis plus Beat though. And Unicorn was there, did what he had to do. RP wasn't spit, and yeah, Fear's just going to die again, or at least should. Yeah. Yules is there, but still should not save him. Yeah, Miggle more than happy to finish him off. And now Demon hanging around way too long. And wow, Mania. Way to block your team. You're lucky Rise was there. Actually, that's going to cost them a kill there. So Mania went for it. Yeah, and Demon going to be able to John himself to a nice little nook and TP home. 43 minutes we're into this game. We got 36 kills on the board. GEG Mania. Pro Sprouts, bro. But anyway, I think the point was illustrated there, and I've been kind of talking about it all game roundabout, is that EG is very much a slave to their initiation, and AL is very much a slave to their counter-initiation. Chronosphere going to be up in 15 seconds. RP was unspent, still remains unspent. BKB, Ghost Scepter up on Mag, makes him very survivable. And of course, Unicorn with his own BKB. He's only used it once. The reason I just hovered over was I was trying to think how many times he'd used it. It seemed like he should have used it more than once by now, but he hasn't. Still has 9 seconds on it, so he's been very patient with it. Rise tanking up a bit. He's got 1,000 HP with the drums, but still relatively squishy. Miracle is yet to do anything else with that Sange. We'll see, though. More importantly, though, Mania getting large and in charge. Added a Scythe of Ice to his inventory. He had about 1 Gorillion gold at one point. He had at least 6,000 that I saw at one point in his inventory. So now, with a Scythe of Ice, this is where things get sketchy for EG. Because, again, Alchemist's damage output is just not there. You know, it's not going to be either. He's hitting for 110 damage a shot. And granted, his attack speed is solid. It just doesn't really matter whenever there's so many ways for them to lock him down. So you don't have him to worry about damage-wise. Now you have Mania, who not only has a mech, but has the ability to blow someone up and hex them. If he's able to get on top of Jo and take him down, EG's entire lineup collapses. Because right now, that's what their whole late game is predicated on, is this guy right here. And when you look at the items that have been built so far by Fear, Fear is basically just like another hero dedicated to making the Druid awesome. Because he's built nothing but items that really help out the Druid and the Bear and do very little for himself as a hero. He built the Vlad, he built the Assault Cuirass, and so on. Got a Vanguard, but whoop-de-doo. That was more of a mid-game item to keep him alive anyway. So, it's an interesting approach to take a hero like an Alchemist. Now, that's not to say he can't transition. That's not to say, I mean, look, he's already got 4,100 gold in the bank. So it's not to say that he can't all of a sudden go and pick himself up an MKB or a Daedalus or something like that. I actually wouldn't mind either of those items right now. And that would be a great transition for them to make. It would make it so AL has 2 major targets to fuss over instead of just 1. And he's actually tanking up more. He's actually picked himself up a Reaver. So his damage, I mean, his damage is helped by that because he is a strength hero. So, we'll see. Here we go. B-Diz gonna look to find Miggle. And, oh, good swap from Miracle. What a beautiful play. And Unicorn gonna clean B-Diz up for free. Demon next on the list. He's gone. Miracle should end up dead here and most likely will. But, yeah. Fear just can't do any damage. Just cannot do any damage at all. And the buyback from B-Diz is there. Now Miggle going to spend his RP, catches Jo. And if they can kill off Jo, nope, Jo able to use the cheese to get himself back up. But just look how much damage Mania is doing. Just completely blowing him up. Demon's going to re-engage, though. So they do manage to get a triple kill. Jo, and now Mania going to end up dropping. And an ultra kill coming out from Jo. So EG closing the gap a bit. And it was a beautiful swap from the Venge. I thought the fight was just going to turn completely in favor of AL following that, but the execution afterwards just was lacking, for lack of a better way to put it. And now Demon spotted out, going to be hexed, and yep. That's a dead puck. It's a dead puck. Roche is back up. We're going to have buybacks coming out from Magnus now. So definitely not wanting to let the Roche go uncontested. Another damage item going to be on the way from Unicorn. Could just about one-shot by an MKB right now. But as is, they're just going to go ahead and focus on Roche. With puck down, Demon hanging around a bit too long. Really tough for them to contest this. The Lone Druid is really the big hope that they have. He's picked up a Talisman of Evasion, by the way. The Bear is just hitting absurdly hard. He's hitting super fast, and he's hitting for 300 damage. MKB now completing his own inventory. But the Roshan goes the way of absolute legends. And Magnus is going to be getting himself a refresher. He's got the Oblivion Staff on the way to it. But both teams now falling back a bit more. Heart is done on Fear. So, makes him a lot more survivable. And I guess that's what they're counting on more than any real damage output. They're just relying, and again, the way he's built so far is basically carrying 2 very important items that a Druid normally wants, and then that frees him up to fill the Bear up with other stuff. And, I mean, outside of maybe turning the Maelstrom into a Mjolnir and picking up an MKB to go on the actual Druid himself, and, I mean, he may just go Butterfly. He is an agility hero after all, so nothing wrong with that at all. This is a big timing window for AL, though. I feel like they could really take advantage of EG's lineup if they push right now. Double damage, certainly a good enough reason for that. Daedalus is complete on Unicorn, by the way. So, yeah, look at his damage. And this is without Vengeance Aura. Wait till he gets next to Venge. He's in, yeah, there you go. He's hitting for 640. 620, actually. Damage a shot. With the Butterfly done, with the Daedalus, the Maelstrom, and so on. And now with the Aegis in his inventory, this is where they can really capitalize. I mean, when he's hitting for that much damage, you're talking about the ability to 6 and 7 shot an Alchemist that has 2,600 health. Like, that's insane. Take a look at the net worth. We can see the Void has eclipsed him. Has eclipsed everyone, I should say. So AL right now just clearing out the map. Both teams still have all their tier 3 still standing. 50 minutes in. And this is where buybacks become very important. But we can see many of them spent in that last engagement. So this very much has the ability. I mean, if EG wins, they'll be okay and the game will go on. If AL takes 1 racks, though, they'll probably take everything. Buyback up on Jo. Now, that's very important. JO's ability to get back into this fight going to be of immense importance. If he's just picked off. He's pretty tanked up as well. Again, Talisman of Evasion is inventory. And, wow, Mania is just going to bail out for now. Mania had picked up the cheese off that latest Roshan. He is hitting... I just noticed he's picked up an Assault Cuirass. So, yeah, he's hitting kind of hard, kind of quick. Armor reduction doesn't hurt either. Especially for Void. And I'm genuinely a little baffled as to why AL is playing so passively right now. The longer they kind of grab ass around here, the more time that EG has to set up a smoke gank to look for a target for Beatus the lasso. And eventually they're going to leave the base. Looks like we're going to have a quick pause. So while Unicorn sorts out what he needs to sort out, we're 51 minutes in. Want to thank everyone for being a part of the broadcast. Hope everyone is enjoying themselves as much as we are. But make sure you check out the G1 coverage hub at g1.2p.com. Vilat says, def win. Totally agree. It's 50 minutes in. Screw it. We're done so. But anyway, g1.2p.com for all of your great coverage of the G1 League. We just finished up the Asian qualifiers. Now moving on to the West. This is our very first Western match. Evil Geniuses taking on Absolute Legends. And you can catch interviews, write-ups, articles, the brackets, everything you need can be found at g1.2p.com. And you can also, of course, catch our new widescreen format, the Casting Hub, myself, Beyond the Summit, Vilat, etc. Catch us in widescreen over at g1.2p.com. So, hopefully we'll be back underway momentarily. Coming up, following this best of three, coming up at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Better know, let's see, it's 8 a.m., so it'll be 2 p.m. Central European Summertime. Be able to catch Virtus Pro taking on Mal Sports. Looking forward to seeing that match get underway. But it looks like we are ready to go. Never mind. Demon says sec, so we'll wait just a little bit longer. If this is your first time hearing my voice, would love it if you would hit follow here on One More Game TV too. But, okay, looks like we're ready to go. But yeah, would love it if you'd hit follow here on One More Game TV too. We'll have all of your coverage for the G1 Western Qualifier, as well as all kinds of other stuff. D2L Season 2 just concluded. But I can tell you from the inside that there might be, just might be, some big news looming on the horizon. So make sure you stay tuned there and follow me on the various social networks as well. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all that. Back to this match. We are almost 52 minutes in. 19-26 AL maintains the kill lead. They maintain the gold and the experience lead as well. And taking a look at the Aegis timing, they've only got another 2 minutes on this Aegis. And looks like Mania is going to go ahead and come back now. So he's going to be ready to roll. Back to buyback. Now, buyback on Mania, certainly important as well. And it looks like that might have been what they were waiting on. Yeah, I'm going to guess that was actually the biggest motivating factor. So we got buyback on Void and Prophet. And here we go. They're just going to go for it. The bear going to be picked off. Losing that bear is actually a pretty big deal, too. He's going to have to resummon it now. 2 minutes. The time until the next bear. And I would expect to see AL rush this down now. Yep, we can see the Treants coming up. And this is their shot. With only one bear to deal with, they've got buyback on Prophet, so if he dies, he can buy back immediately and be back in the fight via teleport. And here we go. They're going to go. Oh, beautiful side device, but they do manage to pull Miracle back, however. The Void is there, even though he's disrupted. Just look at the damage he's doing. He is swinging the big stick. Call it the beaten club. Just beating EG down like they stole something. And yeah, I mean, what do you do? Hitting him with Soul Catcher is great. They've lost 2 heroes, so AL backing out. Needs to just get back on the horse and go for this. They spit the Chronosphere, still have RP. And the Druid is still up. Bear's going to have another resummon in 60 seconds. 1 set of racks is down. They should have no problem cleaning this up. There's a swap on Fear. Beautifully done. Beautifully done by Miracle. Don't know what Fear was doing there anyway. Way too far forward and away from his team. I would expect the GGs to come out. And this game was basically in AL's control the majority of the time. There's a lot of weird decisions out of EG so far as builds, so far as lanes. And from early on until now, they just really didn't feel like they were in rhythm. And Absolute Legends, don't get me wrong, they made some mistakes too. Just to be blunt, this was not the cleanest game of Dota I've ever seen. I feel like it was rather sloppy on both sides. RP going to be spent. They're going to be able to skewer the Druid back. And with that, I say about any hope that EG had is about to evaporate. The Aegis is gone actually out of Void, so he has to be careful. They are going to be able to trade him for the Druid. Buyback out of Prophet, so he's coming back in. Demon will be cleaned up in the meantime. Mania fresh off the buyback. Gonna go ahead and go for it. But yeah, 2 sets of racks down. And soon to be Megas. GG should be on Zive, as they are now Megad. Unicorn buys back, buys a set of boots of travel, because that's what you do. Got to farm the well, right? Anyway, rather long and drawn out game that was nonetheless closed out quite effectively by Absolute Legends. 15,000 experience, 14,000 gold, give or take. The deficit's there at the end. And a very, very solid win for Absolute Legends. That puts them 1 game away from being able to advance out of this initial phase of the G1 Champions League. And EG could find themselves in trouble early if they can't turn this ship around in a hurry. 54 minutes, 46 seconds. The official game time, 21-31, the final kill score. Very well played out of everyone on the side of AL. Feel like Miggle, though, deserves special mention. The guy just played very patient, very effective Dota. And patience, really the #1 characteristic of a solid Magnus player. Game 1's in the books. EG going to look to turn the donut into a breadstick if they want to get things back on track and not find themselves facing elimination so early. Here in the G1 Champions League, AL, though, leading 1-0. They're thinking sweep. Game number 2 of this best of 3 coming your way next. I'm AC, and you're watching One More Game TV 2. Stick with us. We'll be right back.